I'm live. Today is Saturday and it's the 10th of June 2023 and I'm reading out of Winged Pharaoh. It's a farm memory book written by Joan Grant, published in 1937, and I am now here at part 6 of this book. She is Sekita, now co-ruling Kham as a pharaoh with her brother Nea. They are visiting, she's been pharaoh for a while, and her brother are visiting the kingdom of Minoa. And she explains about the different ways of living in Minoa. We are here at chapter 8. The Festival of Poseidon. The day before we returned to Kham was the day of the Festival of Poseidon, when offerings are made to the Minoan god of the sea, in supplication that he should send fair winds for their fleet and unleash his storms only when their ships were in safe anchorage. Kyodas asked us to share in the festival and to wear Minoan dress. As Ma'ata helped me to prepare for it, I knew that she wished that I was a child again, and of an age when she could command my tunics. I curled my hair in Minoan fashion and held it in place with coral-headed pins. My flounced dress was sewn with little shells and knots of seed pearls. The bodice was etched with clusters of coral beads and showed my breasts, which I had gilded in spite of Ma'ata's disapproval. And when she would have voiced her thoughts, I told her that it was better to be a dead child of courtesy than the slave of custom. The laws of good and evil, Ma'ata, are the same for all time and for all countries. But modesty and courtesy wear many guises. They are the products of their time and place, and their measure must be taken from one's company. If here I were to play Pharaoh, it would be as foolish as if I wore the white crown when swimming in the lake, or sat naked upon the throne of audience. It is difficult to drag a ship along a dry riverbed, but it will float easily upon water, and courtesy between people on earth is like the water between the boat and the riverbed. It may not have the scarlet of courage or the brilliant yellow of wisdom, but it is like the soft green of the meadows, against which all other colors become splendid. Courtesy can be as cool linen when we are tired, or as the glow of a brazier upon a cold night. It may not be that great wind of experience which drives our ship upon its journey, yet it can curve out sails when other wayfarers upon the river are becalmed. When I was ready, I joined the others assembled on the terrace. Artemiodas was wearing pearls threaded in her hair, and Kyodas was crowned with coral, and I saw that in the clothes they had given us, Nea and I were as royalty dressed as they. The litters in which we were carried down the steep hillside were shaped like shells, and the litter bearers wore masks painted like fish. When I first saw the harboured fleet from high upon the mountainside, the ships with their sails of saffron, orange and indigo, and the soft brown of new-cut cedar wood, looked like flower petals in a bowl of lapis lazuli. The deck of the royal ship was banked with violets, whose sweetness mingled with the keen salt air. Green pennants streamed like seaweed from the masts, and the oars were striped in red and white. Kyodas took the steering oar from his shipmaster as we led the fleet out of the harbour. The wind was gay but gentle, and it fretted the ship with little laughing waves. Artemiodas told me that this showed Poseidon was in a gracious mood. The year before, he had greeted them with storms until they had to flee from his anger to harbourage. I was never quite sure how much Artemiodas shared in the beliefs of her people. Did she really think the sea was a hungry god who could be promised appropriated by yearly gifts? Almost as though she heard my thoughts, she answered them. If Poseidon is feeling kindly towards us, he accepts our offerings. But if he rejects them, they float and our people become more desolate. For many of them have someone they love who is a sailor or a fisherman and can be endangered by his wrath. Kyoto says that it is very harmful for the country to know when Poseidon is displeased. So now he has the royal tribute weighted so that it sinks whatever Poseidon's whim. I was afraid that this might anger the god, but the high priest told us that the omens were propitious. And certainly the storms don't seem to have been any worse than usual, and the fleet has been more contented. We reached a headland where there was a race of waters that had drawn many ships upon the rocks, and Kyotos made ceremonial dedication to Poseidon and cast the first tribute into the sea. Then wreaths of flowers were thrown from all the other ships, and these offerings also were sucked down by the current amidst great rejoicing. When it was seen that the tribute was acceptable, Kyotos opened a wicker cage, and from it flew 3 white pigeons, which circled round the ships before homing to the island with their good tidings. Then the fleet spread out into a long line, and at a signal from the royal ship they sped forward with following wind, cleaving the water in their race for leadership. Far on our left a ship outwinged the line, with water spraying from her figurehead and her orange sail curved in an arc of speed. Ahead of all, she gained the harbour mouth. Her triumph was greeted with an echoing cheer, and Kyoto said that she had earned the greatest honour of the fleet, to wear on her brow the gold Minoan bull, until, at the next year's festival, she was challenged for the supremacy. I continue with chapter 9. Homeward, Voyage. Our sails were set upon our homeward voyage, and across the gentle undulating sea I watched their mountains sinking in the west. The country, which long ago I had been to in my dreams, had beauty, even in reality. But now this flowery interlude was past, and I must again take up the crook and flail. Patakifa and I were sitting together on the deck, watching the silver furrow our ship was ploughing through the smooth water. He was wrapped in his cloak, for wind is not warming to old blood. I knew he was in the mood when his thought turned easily to words, and I asked him whether he was sorry to leave Minoas, and what he thought of these people whose lives we had shared for 2 months. He pretended to speak seriously, but there was laughter in his eyes as he said, "I fear the high priest of Minoas has little respect for my double feathers, for he thinks me a prodigious liar. He is a man of such small experience that not only does he fail to understand the complexity of the lands beyond the earth, but I suspect he doubts whether such places exist." He treated me with the confidence of two mountebanks who would share the secrets of each other's tricks, and when he questioned me of how I deluded my people, I told him I tried to end their delusions and not create them. In spite of his politeness, I knew that he thought my sincerity the deepest guile. He might have been a conjurer who, having told another how he could make a live quail chick seem to grow out of a man's ear, is naturally indignant because his fellow will not tell him how he makes the figurine turn into a bunch of feathers and 3 pomegranates. And I fear he thinks the priests of calm emasculate, for he told me in all kindliness of a young woman of whose discretion I was sure, and who would be honoured to lie with a fellow priest of his. And when I refused his offer, he gave me a little flask of yellow liquid, which he assured me would make even an old man as lusty as a ram. He told me that I should not take my vows of chastity so seriously, and that it was the duty of wise men such as we, to propagate our kind, of course, discreetly. And when I assured him that I had taken no vows of chastity, and that in calm we held that wisdom was not the fruit of virginity, he thought I but tried to cloak my impotence, and pitied me. Then he questioned me about my riches and about my lands, and I told him that in the palace I had 2 rooms, one where I slept and the one where I kept the few things that I needed. But he would not believe that I had no vast hoarded wealth, and when I told him I had no need of it, he asked whether our priests were in such disrespect that none made sacrifice before our gods. I told him that our people gave a 12th part of all things that they had in every year to the temple as a gift. And he said, "And you, a high priest? And you are poor? I thought Kham was the land of gold." I told him that the land of gold was to the south, but that much of this yellow metal was in Kham, and many other things that barter highly, and I explained how our tribute was used. I fear that he had made me impatient, for when he asked me what I thought of the ceremony at his temple, I answered, I thought the singing was magnificent. And as I said it, I regretted that I should have so insulted my host. But he was delighted by my words, and he said that the singers were far sweeter than when he first took office, and more people came to his temple than any other in the country because of it, and the number of tribute bulls had multiplied exceedingly. Surely they are strange people. I felt as unfamiliar as if I were living amongst beautiful monkeys, and had forgotten how to swing by my tail. When I spoke the truth to them, they thought me a liar, and when I told them of wisdom, they thought me a fool, and when of my impatience I insulted them, they took it as a compliment. Okay, we're coming to part 7, which is entitled Dream Warning. Say bye-bye.